Well, Rich, do you count towards our 6, Rich?
I don't. I've just messaged John Paul. I'm messaging Ron right now. I don't have Jimmy Morrison's information. Kathy, do you have his phone number?
I do.
Would you mind messaging him? He said he was going to make it.
Okay. I'll message him right now.
John Paul said he's coming on.
Good. Hey, John Paul.
Hey, John Paul. Thank you.
You're on mute.
There we go.
We are streaming on Town Hall Streams right now because that starts at 6 o'clock. They'll stop the TV channels as soon as we're ready to go. I'm just waiting to hear back from Ron Russell. I haven't heard back from him yet.
I was just looking for your email when you sent that.
Oh. Thank you, John Paul.
Yeah.
Mark, Kathy, would you guys be all right if we start the meeting and we'll go by anything that requires a vote and just start with new business if anyone has any of that in hopes that one more member joins us? All right. So I'd like to welcome everyone to the Community and Economic Development Committee meeting. It's Monday, February 22nd. We are meeting via Google Meets. I'll take a roll call at this point. Mark Eastman.
Here.
Kathy Downs.
Here, and Jimmy is going to join. He forgot.
Oh, thank you.
He will be here.
Jim Boothby.
Here.
John Paul Lalonde.
Here.
Dick Peterson.
Here.
Okay. John Wardwell, Frank Dunbar are both not here. Rob Carmichael messaged saying that he wouldn't be able to make it. Councilor Morrison will be logging on shortly, and I have not heard back from Mr. Russell. We're going to skip down on our agenda to item number 4 and give Mr. Morrison a chance to log in. Does anyone have any new business? And for anyone in the public, if you have any business you'd like to bring up, you can reach me at area code 207-307-8050 or via email at rich.rotella@bucksportmaine.gov. The number again is 207-307-8050.
Rich, if I may. Jim.
Mr. Luther, go ahead.
Yeah. The RSU Facilities Committee was approached by Amoresco, Alternative Energy Company, and they're discussing a project in Bucksport, and they were looking for our interest in purchasing energy credits from them through that project. I just didn't know that hadn't come before this group at all. It was kind of a surprise when it got to Facilities Committee for the RSU. So, have they approached the town yet for permitting and zoning?
Yes, so Amoresco was the name of the company who is looking to lease the 33 acres of land that AIM owns. They do have a lease agreement currently. It's that parcel between Drake's Lane and the power line, if you're not familiar. The AIM plan, the ADAPT plan suggested that would be a good place for the workforce housing, but AIM said they had a project. This is the project, the solar project. Sue, Luke, and myself have met with Amoresco because unfortunately the location of that project is not zoned for solar. So one of a couple things has to happen for that to take shape. Either one, the code that Luke is working on for solar, that will change it, or they can come forward for a contract zone change. Or the other option is, since that property abuts industrial and that is allowed in industrial, is to include that lot in that zone. And I believe the option that's going forward is the Luke creating a solar ordinance. So, and they are looking for information from the town as well in regards to if we're interested in getting there. And Sue's gathering information to get to Amoresco to see if there's enough there for the town to join that as well. Subsequent to that, the town has pulled back its RFP for solar on the landfill behind on the town's property because of issues that have arisen. You probably read about it in the Portland Press Herald and the local newspapers about the there not being enough capacity in the substations to handle it. It was a big article that's come out, and it seems to be a really big issue and hot topic. So that's all being addressed right now as well. Amoresco has been through the permitting process already, so that doesn't seem to be an issue for them in the talks that I've had with them since that article subsequently came out.
Rich, was there, do you know if they, at any point with their discussions with AIM, there was ever any consideration of the AIM landfill cap site?
No. In my talks with them, they wanted to keep that as a landfill. And I know there's the cap portion, but that never came up. Matter of fact, they had worked with Amoresco for quite some time. And on Jeff McGlynn's last day, with AIM, he introduced us to Amoresco and the new people that that are running the AIM project here in Bucksport. Hi, Jim Morrison. Thank you for joining us.
Do you have any idea how many acres the cap portion of the landfill is?
I don't, but I can check with Luke to see if we have that figure somewhere. Luke or Caitlin.
And I would, another potential area that's up there is the Verso Woodyard. I don't see Verso ever running a woodyard there again. I mean, stranger things happen, but and my years of experience of buying wood, one of the primary reasons that companies keep wood yards that they're never going to operate is to make sure no one else buys it and runs it as a wood yard. So it's kind of a defense mechanism. And maybe they would be interested in selling it as a site that would prevent it from being a wood yard again. So, I mean, those are two sites that are already zoned industrial and wouldn't be most likely wouldn't be able to wouldn't be able to be used as a workplace site.
Right. Without having brownfield studies done first. Did anyone else on the board have any new business that they wanted to bring forward?
Yeah, I have a new business that we can call it old business because we have this discussion every year. When are the wreaths going to come down? I know that's not an economic development thing, but it's an embarrassing economic development thing when it's March and we still have Christmas wreaths up.
I will mention it tomorrow.
Okay.
Any other new business? Seeing none, I'll go back to item number 2. It's the election of a chair. Any nominations?
I nominate Mark.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Any other nominations? With no other nominations, I consider the nomination closed. All those in favor of Mark being the chair, with an aye or a hand raise?
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimous, 6-0. Mark, you are once again the chair of the Economic Development Committee. Would you like to take over the rest of the agenda, sir?
Sure. The marketing plan, action item list, discussion and prioritize. Do you want to start off, Rich?
Yeah, I will share my screen. This worked prior to the meeting. Please let me know if you can see that.
Can you make it any bigger?
It's a full screen on I have 2 monitors. It's full screen where I am. What do you have for a size?
Mine is about 2/3.
Is anybody else having an issue with the size as well?
It's pretty small, Rich. If you expand it up to about 125, it might help.
There you go.
All right, that's 200. Does that work all right?
Yes.
Yep.
All right, so this was the action item checklist and estimated cost that Design Lab had completed for us at the end of the marketing plan. It came in, it wasn't fully completed the night of the council, and then we wrapped it up that next day. So it's a 3-year goal, and it's broken into 2 different areas: a residential development and attraction of new residents, and a second 3-year set based off of tourism development. So I'll kick back here to year 1. We're getting ready to submit our budgets to the town manager. They're due by the 28th of this month for our normal budget as well as capital improvements. And I've already done my regular budget, but I held off on doing the CIP until I had a chance to speak with the committee to see recommendations of what the committee would like to see done here in the first year. And please do keep in mind that there are other groups in town. Main Street Bucksport has been talking amongst their group about taking on some of the ideas to help out as well. I won't read through everything. It's up on your screen. If you have any questions or have a strong opinion on some, all, on either the residential or we can do it. I can go start with residential, and then we can slide over to tourism. I will let you know that an underdeveloped new town of Bucksport website, I did receive information from our current provider. Gov office that CARES money can be used for website redesign. I sent out a request to them prior to this meeting, asking for more information and how much money is available and how do we go about asking the state for that money. So I don't have a response from them as of yet, but that could be helpful, because what you need to understand, it didn't carry over when Design Lab had moved this item from year 2 to year 1, but it should say develop new Town of Bucksport website, up to $20,000 depending on functionality and scope. And that's the only thing that, when I review this, that seemed to be missing, and I will update that on here at the conclusion of this meeting. But I guess I'll leave it up to the committee on how you'd like to approach this.
I mean, I like what you laid out, Rich. I mean, I think the tagline and the logo are both important to move forward with a lot of other things. And, you know, without TIF funding in place, it's a good place to start. Anybody else on the committee have input?
Mark?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. So are you talking about under residential year 1?
Correct.
Oh.
Kathy, yeah, under year 1, the development of a logo and the development of a tagline, because
Yeah.
those things play into signage and, you know, the website and everything else. So without doing those, it's going to be hard to move forward
Right.
with those things. And I think, John Paul, it kind of dovetails into the grant opportunity that Main Street's pursuing, correct?
Yep.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Dick.
If I understood, Mark, you said because there's no TIF money, that means Whole Oceans hasn't moved forward. Is that where the TIF's going to come from?
I mean, until they put a shovel in the ground, and correct me, Rich, if you have a different wording to it, I mean, that TIF funding's not going to be this year. I do think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Rich, I think I've talked this through with Sue too, but that what we're looking to do is take it out of capital, but potentially replace it with TIF funding down the road. Is that the appropriate way to say that, Rich?
Yes.
I mean, because it should be done, whether or not, if Whole Oceans didn't move forward, we still should do this work. You know, because the goal is to attract people to live here. We want to add students, not subtract students from the school system. So, you know, I'm of the mindset that it makes sense to move forward with this, despite the fact that Whole Oceans hasn't moved forward.
I would agree with that.
Where you see graphic design with the asterisk, here's what that asterisk says, and it's on 2 pages, so I'll leave it right there. A graphic design, marketing, and brand management flex retainer may be helpful to accommodate emerging design needs as the town rolls out the new logo and manages the public-facing design assets and builds a new portfolio of visuals. Design and marketing retainers for a project of this scope would range from $1,500 to $6,000 per month, depending on the firm and number of hours. We recommend a $4,000 retainer over a full year. A full-service social media management package normally expenses at $500 to $700 per month.
And Rich, as part of your budget, you're going to be asking for that segment that you just described? I mean, the 4,000 retainer, is that where you're going to?
I have $6,000 in marketing that I get to market the town, and I usually use about $2,000 of that for commercials. And then if Main Street or another group puts on an event, sometimes the downtown merchants will get together and put on events, and I'll help with their advertising and marketing by putting money towards that. So I think that 4,000, we can pull that out of that, because especially this year with the pandemic, we haven't spent much on marketing because it didn't, trying to find the right way to market it without creating a rush. We didn't have any events, so there was no need to market any type of events that were going on. And what it was marketed for was the commercial, but we didn't go heavy on the commercials like we did last time. And even then, the company that we went with actually gave us free advertising over and above what we had paid for. I just because we've been with them for so many years now. So
Mhm.
it was greatly appreciated.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Am I reading this correctly that we're looking at $48,000 for the year for marketing for residential? Is that what this is telling me?
Are you talking about the design and marketing retainer, Jimmy?
Yes, it says at 1,500 to 6,000 per month, and they're recommending 4,000 for a year. Does that mean that they're talking 4,000 per month for a year, or?
No, I believe, Jim, that's a retainer over a full year, that 4,000.
And the reason being, Jimmy, it would be a lot more if we were going to say we're going to tackle everything. So the more that we decide to go on, that's where you would see that 1,500 to 6,000 per month. If we tackle a few things on here, it won't come to that figure.
Rich, you're anticipating the 4,000 flat for the year, correct?
Yeah, we'd obviously take bids, go out for an RFP, and find something, see what we get back for bids over a year. That way, that's the reason why it'd be nice to figure out what do we want to attack this year, and then we can get a number on that. If the committee says go after it all, then yeah, Jimmy's right. You can expect probably a higher number. This was in anticipation that we knew we weren't getting the TIF. We probably wouldn't be going after everything for year one, both residential and tourism. But if it's the committee's pleasure to do that, we can certainly look at it.
I mean, I'd be of the opinion that trying to go after the tourism this year may not be money well spent, because it may or may not happen. And if we put that out a year, at least we have a better hope that we'll have more going on at that point.
Plus, I think, Mark, the point you're making is well taken. Right now, we have is people from out of state trying to find homes in state. It seems those are the folks we should be trying to maneuver away from Bangor Brewer and bring them our way.
I'd love to see that, Dick, and from my line of work, it would be great, but there's not much on the market in Bucksport. And I think it's, my opinion is, the reality of that is, if there isn't a house to move to, you're unlikely to list the house you're living in. And we could be in a slower period this next year, because if people don't have a house they want to move to, they're just going to stay put. I mean, listings are pretty low in town. And I could be wrong, but that's what I'm wondering is.
No, that's your business. You should know if the listings are low.
Yes. Yeah, but that's what it's going to be.
And so I think you had brought up before about like a ballpark downtown over here. What was going to happen with that in the future?
Let's continue that on Thursday, right, Jim? Boothby?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I try to remember these things as we kind of go through the process. So there's no real land available to build in the local community within a 3-mile radius of Bucksport?
No, there's a higher likelihood that next year, I believe, Dick, that more will open up, because that Park Street, connecting into Park Street, should open up about 30 acres. And I think that may be, a prime spot for development, where it's the proximity to the schools is good, and there's lots of space there as well.
Okay.
But we do need that. There's no question.
Well, and thank you. I appreciate that. And that's what my thoughts are, is that if we need homes, or nice homes, need to do it, I guess. So.
Yep. And I do think there'll be avenues to talk about that in the next, year to 18 months.
I've switched it over to the tourism, so in case you folks wanted to look at that and see what it was that Design Lab had given us for tourism, so you can see why Mark is, I think, making the suggestion, or the comment, excuse me, that he said that he's not sure if it would make sense to do the tourism this year. Would it be then, Mark, that you'd still want to do a 3-year plan, but hold off a year and do like year one in 2022? Is that what you're suggesting? Or are you saying,
I'm open to anything, but it seems like it could be a uphill. It could be the money might not be well spent this summer, where there's no assurances of festivals or anything occurring. I'd just rather see us focus on the following year in hopes that more will occur. But I mean, I'm open to whatever. Jim, go ahead.
Yeah, you have a common thread in both the business and the tourism and the residents. And that ties back to your website, an enhanced website. You have one strand in there that talks about a standalone page for the marina. Now, where tourism may not be as active, the marina use is steady. And to continue to market that is a good business plan. So I think, when I looked at this, I see, that outward-facing website, and it is kind of an important thread all the way through to get that up and running, cleaned up, and saying what you want to say. So you're going to be, able to build off of that as the other opportunities come into play.
I would agree, Jim.
yeah, and we had great numbers at the marina last year, and we're expecting actually more this year. We've had people sending in checks because they don't want to lose their spot. People who were here before left and want to come back. So Mike said, you can wait till April. And the checks are just coming in because they want to assure themselves space. And we had a couple of catamarans that stayed with us for quite some time on the town dock last year as well. So water traffic has been good. It's been a push from the state to get back to the outdoors. And I think Kathy could probably speak to this, maybe in committee meetings that they're talking about. And I apologize, I can't remember the exact name of the campaign, but it really is pushing the outdoors and getting people to do activities, but do it in a way where they're staying physically distanced. Hiking, boating, biking, and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Which leads into some of the assets that we have in town that can be, marketed.
The trails, the waterfront walkway, the marina.
Yeah, we're in a position for developing attractive rather than attraction.
Exactly.
Seems to me that where our emphasis has to be this year is helping the businesses we have so that when we do get around to marketing to tourists, we still have businesses. So, we're the Bucks program is going to run out here at the end of March. I don't foresee having a round 3. We haven't really talked about it, but how many times can we go to the well of the people who have funded it up to this point? So, I think we need to be creative on how we can come up with programs that maybe don't cost any money, but try to get the people in Bucksport to support the businesses in Bucksport.
Mm-hmm.
And that's correct me if I'm wrong, John Paul, that was about $60,000. Is that through both phase 1 and phase 2 of Bucks, or was that?
Yeah, when we're done, it'll probably be more than $60,000 into the local economy.
That's great. So
really closer to 40,000. 70,000.
Mm-hmm. So, Rich, you're looking for specific items that you want to bring forward, or what would you like there?
Yeah, I guess I'd really like to know, some of these items here facilitate collaboration between town of Bucksport and downtown committees, Heart and Soul. That's what Bucksport Next does. They already do that. There's no cost to that. That's not something that we need to take on. That's been happening. I know with the pandemic, it's seemed to have slowed down, but that's something where maybe we can reach out to. I think Rob Carmichael was spearheading that, and maybe reach out to Rob to see if he can get the groups together. And if we need to use the town's meeting platform, we can do that to get that part happening. Recruiting local ambassadors, that shouldn't cost us any money. I can think maybe folks from Main Street Bucksport, Bucksport Bay Healthy Coalition, from the RSU who can help do that. So again, no cost there. It's really getting the graphic design and the graphic design stuff, because we can't, there's a lot of emphasis placed on, why aren't we updating the signs? Why aren't we updating the signs? Well, it'd be really sad to update the sign tomorrow and come up with a brand new logo and tagline the next day, meaning that we'll have outdated stuff beforehand. So really trying to do it in a chronological order and be reasonable about how much we can get done in a year. And keeping in mind that some of this may be a company that we hire to do this graphic design stuff for us, social media. I mean, we may not need to do the social media. Maybe the new executive director of Main Street Bucksport, maybe that's something that person and their board says, hey, for maybe 2 hours of your work week, why don't you do this for the town? We'll do this for the town, or something. You know what I mean? It doesn't necessarily mean we have to hire an outside company. Maybe there's an internal group, or maybe there's a student at the high school who wants to get into that type of major that may want to do that as part of a internship without having to come here. They can do it in conjunction with that. So if I do get an intern next year, we're back to normal and kids are back in school, that would be something that I would propose that they did for me when they worked down here.
So,
Well, typically when organizations have a list like this and funds are limited, they look for the low-hanging fruit and that doesn't cost a lot, and they try to pick those off. And I think I don't see it right on the list here, but to me, one of those would be, I don't know what's going to be going on over at the fort this summer, but whatever there is, working to get those people to come into town. Whether that be through ambassadors going over there and spending time talking to tourists over there, or just inexpensive flyers that we put over there, whatever. So, and that's just one example. There may be other examples in here that, are what we call low-hanging fruit.
And by no way am I suggesting that we shouldn't do anything on here. I think it's imperative we get the logo and tagline and, quite honestly, the website, because it's been something that we've talked about for a long time. But I don't disagree with you, John Paul. And I think Brooke has applied for a grant through Maine Community Foundation to tackle some of what you're speaking to about over at the fort. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think maybe the digital advertising over there, possibly working with the fort on having a monitor that scrolls through different things that folks can do here in Bucksport. So low-hanging fruit is always a great idea, but I really don't want us to lose sight of that logo and tagline are so important to moving everything else forward.
No, I guess we didn't really decide on that, but I heard a lot of people favorable for that, so I was moving on to other items. Maybe I shouldn't have taken that liberty, but
I understand where you're coming from, and it makes sense. Thank you.
I mean, Rich, is there anything outside of that tagline and logo that you think is imperative this year? I mean, the website, and hopefully we can get that funded through the CARES Act. But beyond those three, is there anything else that you wanted to see taken on?
I agree with John Paul on helping the businesses we have to keep them here. So if we don't do much more out of that marketing plan and spend some of money what we thought we might spend onto helping those businesses, and I guess it's really trying to figure out, do we request Bucks, because I can tell you Rachel sent out the funding request to the groups today, and the requests this year are Main Street, Bucksport, and Fort Knox. There's no more chamber. There's no Bay Festival. Paula did not want, and Paula declined for Wednesdays on Main. So I mean that's two groups versus I think last year we had 6 or 7 that came to us looking for funding.
So are you suggesting by saying that, Rich, that we should ask for more for something outside, or just?
I think if this group or if a bunch of groups come together and say, hey, you know, we need to, because there's an encourage outdoor patio dining under the tourism. That could be local tourism, because I will tell you that Ron took out garbage 7 days a week.
Right.
We did it every single day because the waterfront was that's where everybody went this year. That's where they ate. I mean, even the trash can, there's a single picnic table and trash can at Silver Lake that I put up there a couple years ago that are still there. And even that trash can, he has to get at on a daily basis, just because people are really taking advantage of grab and goes, takeout, and eating outdoors, staying away from people. So maybe it's something where either the 27 Main Street, we create a little outdoor dining area for them, or the maybe even a better location besides on the waterfront is the parking lot by the post office, because it's paved, and if it's rainy or whatever, you don't have to walk in the mud or whatnot. And maybe putting some type of dining area there, and maybe allowing, you know, patrons of Warren's restaurant or the Friars, because a lot of your restaurants and the ice cream parlor are there right by that location. So nice.
What about down near the gazebo, Rich, and just as basic as picnic tables? I mean, do you think it'd be worthwhile to put in your budget for some picnic tables to go down there?
We can do that. We can put in some requests. We had the school build us some. Mr. Boothby, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was 2 summers ago, the school rebuilt about 6. So I think we have 8 total picnic tables on the waterfront. That may make sense.
I like that idea. I think that would be good down near the waterfront.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, brings a lot of people down there, and
Yeah.
they can have a semblance of a life down there.
Yeah.
So, Rich, maybe picnic tables, the tagline, and the logo. Does anybody have anything else that they want to bring into play for this first year? Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, I'm just going to build a little bit off Jim's idea as far as marketing towards the fort a little bit, and you know, getting some pamphlets or something together, so to put over there some, you know, point of interest place, and just pointing to the restaurants, pointing to outdoor dining, that type of thing. And then later on, down through this, it talks about doing advertising at other marinas about making Bucksport a ported destination. So I think that's fairly low-hanging fruit in terms of once you get your graphics taken care of and your taglines, you can start putting together these paper marketing items and get those distributed before you start working on your electronic.
You
But
mean
I think your website's critical to get up and running and get moving. Especially, you know, if we're looking at a couple of years out before things get ramped up again, this is the year to start working on that foundation.
And you mean as simple as guerrilla marketing, Jim? Just some kind of
Yes.
you know, great flyers, and you know they're going to disappear, but keep putting them out.
Just keep putting them out. And,
Yep, I think that's a good idea as well. It's cheap, and it's, you know, it's targeted to people that might very well could possibly end up here.
that's right.
And I agree with promoting the marina as much as we can too, you know.
Okay. Is there any other ideas that people want brought forward?
And for the folks out
Possibly,
in Disneyland, if you're
possibly
looking
our historical.
Go ahead.
Possibly our historical museum down there might want to be promoted a little bit too.
I mean, that could all, would you agree, Jen, that could all fall into that kind of guerrilla marketing where You know,
Absolutely.
we make some flyers, and we know they're going to disappear, but put them out far and wide as we can.
Exactly.
Right.
And bring people in so they see multiple opportunities.
But yes, but put them into the museums
Yep.
around here. You know,
Yep.
put a pin in the map.
I do know both the Historical Society and library have been closed ever since this pandemic started, so it's not to not mention them, but just to keep in mind that they may not open again this year. I don't have any insight. I don't know one way or another, but neither one of them have opened since this pandemic started, and I haven't heard anything that might change that. I hope they open and are able to do so safely, but I don't know if that's going to happen or not. But I can reach out to them.
Doesn't that leave us with the necessary steps of seeing to it that they get back open and doing the things that are necessary to get them open? I think that's one of our priorities, is to get things back open and moving under the guidelines, of course.
Rich, do you think we can put a number to a guerrilla marketing campaign kind of thing to make it a budget item?
Something similar that they have in the plan says develop a day by the Bay rack cards plus printing cost $1,000 for 20,000 cards is what they're thinking. So I'm thinking we could put maybe up to $1,000.
Okay. I think that's a good idea with the guerrilla marketing, because if there's people at the fort, they're very apt to see it if we can get it spread out. You know, forts or different state parks and whatnot in the area.
If anyone's out in TV Land that wants to reach out with any questions about this plan or any ideas that they think should go forward with this plan, you can reach me here in the office, area code 207-307-8050.
John
I'm
Paul?
sorry, John Paul.
Yeah, do we already have some type of, I'll call it a video ad type thing that's already on the shelf?
I know we have that footage, Rich, of Main Street, you know, that was done as part of that when we applied for that, not a game show, but you know, improve your downtown kind of thing. We did one for that. I know of the downtown.
For the TV show, right?
Yes.
Yes,
That's
that was for this year. Yeah, I think Dylan Pointer from did that for us. So I believe he sent that to Sue, so we should have access to that.
I'll tell you where I'm going with this. We haven't made a final decision, but I would imagine that Main Street is going to run the International Maritime Film Festival again this year. Probably not in person, but virtual like we did last year. You know, if we had something we could show on that people who are watching from anywhere, you know, it may not get them into town this year, but it gets Bucksport in front of them. For when we do go live again, they make it to town. And you know, maybe that's why I was thinking of something we already have. It doesn't cost any money. You just work with Main Street and run it when we're showing the films.
That's a great idea. That's low-hanging fruit. Yeah.
Yep, I would agree.
That's in September, John Paul? August?
Yeah, usually last weekend in September.
Any other thoughts? Rich, you're looking for a recommendation, right? Specific or not?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think I have a pretty good census of what everyone's thinking. So I'll logo, tagline, website, guerrilla marketing. Hit the low-hanging fruit that has been happening to kickstart getting back up the collaboration, local ambassadors, and the fort, marketing at the fort, and marketing the marina, and marketing the historical society.
Okay.
I can assign and picnic tables. Excuse me. I can assign values to all of those and have those ready for the council.
Does everybody feel that's sufficient for year one in these situations, or is there anything else anybody like to add or subtract?
I would.
Go ahead, Jim.
See if we can find out the cost of putting a sign that says Bucksport out at the end of Route 3 on the interstate, and one in Bangor where 395 hits the interstate.
Okay. Rich, you think that's something you can acquire a number to?
That would go. You're talking about the exit signs, Jimmy, or the brown specialty signs like they have for the academy and the fort, or are you saying exits?
When you come off the interstate onto Route 3 in Augusta,
Yep.
there's no sign there that says Bucksport this way.
Okay.
There's one there that tells you to go to Belfast, but they don't mention us.
So I think that's a DOT. I think that's the DOT sign, and that has to go through the legislature. I've been in Augusta when they've done that. I believe the last one they did it for when I was there with the elementary school kids was for Lincoln, I believe. So that we could go. What's that? Oh yeah, right. Maybe we can have Kathy write up her first legislation.
Okay. And, you know, I don't know if you added to that list, Rich, the 4,000 retainer. Was that on that list as well?
No, but thank you. Yes.
Okay. And are you looking for a recommendation, or are you just going to work on these and bring it to the council?
If I can get a consensus, I think that would be suffice.
Is there a motion from anyone to make a recommendation to the council for the items we've noted?
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
And I'll second.
Okay, we can take a vote. All in favor with a hand? All right. And is that it for item 3 on the agenda, Rich?
Yes, that is it for item number 3. We can go back to number 4 for new business for the board or the public.
Can I just ask a question? Have you had any further inquiries on 27 Main, just out of curiosity?
Yes. Sue and I, Luke and Caitlin met with a gentleman who bought the Timberlands building. That's the building that the AIM owned. I think, John Paul, you used to work in that building.
Yep.
He's planning on turning that building into a 1-2 bedroom, market rate B+ apartments. Does that sound, what I just said, does that sound right, Mark? Market rate apartments?
Yeah.
Yep.
What the standard market rate would be for a rental. Yep.
And then we talked to him about 27 Main Street with the precipice that the bottom has got to be commercial. So he walked, after we left here from a meeting, he and I walked over, looked at the property as well, and talked over some different ideas. So yeah, so that's the third person. The town's been marketing itself through this office for 6 months now. So that's the third inquiry here. Yeah, so he's going to get back with me on that. Going to reach out to Community and Economic Development down in Augusta, the community development portion, to see what's maybe out there as well for people who are looking around the state for projects as well.
All right.
Thanks.
Anything else from anyone?
Yeah, I had one thing. I just Rich, where do we stand on the retainer walls in town?
Yes, I got the first bill today. So, so the first day of the new year was January 4th. I was giddy. I got in at 7:30. At 8:01, I called DOT to make sure the state still had the money for us. They said, go right ahead. I contacted the engineer as soon as I got off the phone with DOT. They have come out and they have done the survey. They've located utilities, and we've paid. I just submitted the for their first payment for them. So they should be, once they get everything lined up, they should be sending it out to bid shortly here. So it is going to happen.
But
I got one
Is
last.
it just certain walls,
Go ahead.
Rich? Certain walls or all of them?
Certain walls, hang on. This may be bad. I'm not sure if you can see this, but this is my chart that I have keeping here in the office. So the first one is in front of Stubborn Cow Glass.
Mhm.
Then there's Mill Street, Mike Jake's apartment. Ming's Garden,
Mhm.
all the way over to Bridge Street. And then by the between the motel and it's 68 Main 3, so US Route 1. So right over by Dunkin' Donuts is the other one. Between all of those, with the engineering, it is believed that we will keep it at the. We were awarded $550,000. The town, it's 50%. The town kicks in $275, and the state kicks in $275. And according to the engineer, it is her belief that we can get them all done. Now, if it's a couple $1,000s difference, and it may mean holding off on like Stubborn Cow because it's such a small wall, and maybe we can use the retaining wall good bricks that are still available to get that one back up until we can apply for potentially more to fix even more of the walls that are starting to go. In order to use the MPI, we have to use DOT approved materials for that. So that's why it's a specialty. If you looked at the Eastern Maine Medical Center, they have the walls that we were talking about. And basically they put the wall in front of the old wall. We're not gonna be able to do that because we'll lose sidewalk space. So the existing walls will have to come out. And when I talk with the engineer, when we get to that point, if it's going to be close, I'm going to make the suggestion to see if this works. Is that if our town crew, time permitting, of course, because they'll have to do all the edging, but if they can take out those bricks to help save us money as well to ensure that all of these do happen. So everything that is highly visible is being done this year, minus the one at the cemetery because that was astronomical, and then the one across the street. Trying to figure out logistics of how we can actually do that one because there is very little space over there. It's over close by Larry Wall's house.
Okay.
Now, some of the other walls that aren't too bad, but their tops seem to be crumbling. Is that something we can try to fix the tops to make them look good so they won't be a safety issue?
So you're talking just about the crumbling, not the fact that some of them are starting to lean forward?
Well, no, but some of the walls that can't be fixed, only certain ones because of the money, but some of the other walls that aren't as bad, but some of the tops, if you go around looking, they're starting to crumble at the top. Is that something we could fix prior to them really falling and being a safety issue?
We should. That shouldn't be can we? It should be a we should do that. And
Yeah.
That's something I'd have to figure out with Sue on how that would come out because I really want to try to make sure that whatever we do, we don't impact that because we went to
Well,
the
exactly.
the
No,
vote on
I don't
that.
want it. No.
Yeah.
But I was just thinking about some of the other walls that,
like Central Street in Franklin. Yes.
and a lot of them are just, it seems to be some of them just like the caps on the tops of them.
Yeah.
If we could just kind of fix those up, just so they look good.
Yes,
for the
I
time
agree.
being.
And I think that's why it'd be if our guys can get them and salvage what is good, we
Yeah.
can do that.
Yeah, that would be good.
Okay. Any other business that anybody wants to bring up?
I
Dick?
just wanted to bring up one thing on maybe potential advertising came to me. Low power FM radio that could be used. I'm looking it up. It's for 3.5 miles. You know, if we're going to be putting signs up, or we want to put signs up, seems like the people we want to get to are the people in the cars that are driving. It might be a good way. It looks rather inexpensive to have an FM station that is good for 3.5, 4 miles, talking about Bucksport or what's available in Bucksport. You know, as they're looking for information as they're driving along. Just a thought I was having.
Will you share that information with me offline, Dick?
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay. If we're done with that item 5 is scheduled next meeting.
Yeah, the next meeting we will want to hear from the two groups who are going to be seeking the money. It's Main Street Bucksport and the Fort. I believe we go to the council on April 22nd, I believe is the day for that. At 7 p.m. So looking at my schedule and how things are shaping up, would the 15th work for everybody? It's a Monday. It's the third Monday. I'm not sure how that fits in Mr. Boothby's schedule.
Rich, you're talking April or you're talking March?
March. I'm sorry. Yeah. So that way they have time to come to us, and if they need to make any adjustments, like I think one group had to make adjustments when they came to us, or we had questions, make sure that the council wouldn't have questions. But if that doesn't work, if anyone else has a day they'd like to throw out.
I can do the 15th. Anyone else?
That sounds good to me.
Make it work.
Okay.
All right. So March 15th at 6 p.m. I'll check my email one last time. Yeah, I don't have any emails, and the phone did not ring.
Okay. Anybody have a motion for adjournment?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Okay.
Second.
All right. We'll just do a show of hands. All in favor? Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, you too.